Welcome back to another episode of the Brilliant Resilient Experience. Today I have a guest that has been on multiple times before. He is just an incredible human being. He's super inspirational. Always love talking to him. You might have seen our episodes prior where he told his story about how when he was 17 years old, he was in a motorcycle accident and ended up becoming paralyzed from that accident.
Right at 17, I had just graduated, went and bought a street bike. I was coming home one afternoon, and it was nice and sunny in one spot until I hit a little patch of rain, nothing uncommon in South Louisiana. And this older guy was coming in the opposite lane. I guess he didn't see me. So I shattered the whole, I had a full face helmet on. I shattered the helmet. I broke 3 of my vertebrae, they shattered together, puncturing my spinal cord, broke my arm, my pelvis, road rash, the whole 9 yards. My vertebrae puncturing my spinal cord is what left me with paralysis. So I'm paralyzed from about T4 down.
And since then, he's been on a journey. His goal is to be able to walk again. And it's been really, really inspirational. Like I said, seeing his journey and everything that he's done. He's even competed in a bodybuilding show, which we're gonna talk about here in a second. But let's go ahead and welcome Sam Primeaux. What's going on, man?
What's up? It's another day in paradise. Thanks for letting me hop on the pod and come buggy for a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for coming on again. So you did the bodybuilding show. That was a little bit earlier this year, maybe a few months ago, I can't remember. How was that? I mean, we haven't really talked about it since the last time we chatted on here, so I'm curious, how was it?
Dude, it was such a freaking experience. So it was a kind of last minute decision. I literally went into the show with 4 weeks of dedicated prep with a coach. I'd been talking to the promoters for a while, leading on to the event, and we were planning to do Inner Animal merch, have a booth there and just get to meet and greet, have a good time. But dude, just so happened the day that the promoters messaged me, it was like my best day in therapy, walking in my griot. We had made 660 feet. So dude, I'm freaking through the moon. I go check my phone and the promoter's like, hey man, we were able to get the handicap ramp installed at the Cajun Dome venue if you'd be willing to do it. And I was like, man, I was still standing in the griot, asking him. I was like, Scott, that's my therapist. I was like, hey Scott, would you be willing to come on stage with me if I did a bodybuilding show in the griot? He was like, you fucking bet I would. So I was like, look, sign me up, Jason. So I ended up doing men's physique and men's open, which the open is the really big buff guys in banana hammocks, and the physique is just the normal bros in the swim trunks. So I'm like, okay, I could stand normal against the normal bros in the swim trunks. That's my physique. I'm 6'1", 6 foot, maybe 140, 150. So I'm not a real big stocky guy. So whenever they started calling me for the open division, I'm like, what? And it's all back to back to back. There's no rest. So you get, 15 seconds each pose. You do your 4 poses. And me, dude, my legs were not cooperating. I was super nervous.
What time in the morning did you get to this show?
Dude, I got there 5 minutes before they started calling names. I had the promoter blowing my phone up, my coach, my therapist was there. I had friends that already set up my merchandise. The Inner Animal sales were ready to go. But everyone's like, where's Sam? I freaking overslept. The tanning lady, dude, she's such a sweetheart. She came to my house and tanned me. It was 10:30, 11 at night by the time we finished. So she got me all tanned up. We were ready to go. So next morning, I wake up. I set my alarm a little early too. So I'm shit showered, shave. I was cool, calm, collected. And my tummy was not cooperating. I was scared shitless, literally. I was constipated. And I was that made me even more nervous because I was like, man, what if I freaking, short while I'm on stage? What am I gonna do? I was just panicked. So I'm freaking hightailing it there. I got Jason, the pro. He's like, Sam, where are you, dude? The show's about to go on. And I'm like, dude, I'm pulling into the freaking parking lot, sliding to the parking lot. And it was funny. I get there and I'm like, all right, I'll have time to stretch, get in my walker. No, they're like, dude, come on, your class gets called first. And I'm like, why would y'all put me on the first roster? So I was the third name they get called. I was in the backstage. I had one therapist putting the straps on the griot. My other therapist is fixing my shoelace. She's tying it for me. It was a little NASCAR pit stop. And then I didn't have time to stretch, stand, nothing. They just wheeled me up. So I wasn't as upset with my legs acting wonky in the morning because I was like, okay, look, we didn't stretch. We weren't ready for this. It's no big deal. We'll come back later in the evening and we're going to kill it. So I got back early. I had taken a nap, ate. I was like, dude, I'm going to be brand new. I did my little step in. I even stood for the Pledge of Allegiance. So that was the first time in 6 years. That was really cool. But literally, as soon as like the song ended, I'm still standing on my feet. As soon as they're like, all right, Sam Primeaux, I roll out to the freaking stage. I look down and my feet went back to noodles. I was like, what the fuck? So thank God I had my friends, and I had a friend and a therapist. The therapist helped in the morning, friend helped at night. Lock my knees and like be able to move the walker, because I'm thinking little old cripple me, they're gonna give me some extra free time. No, I was on the same clock as every other man just walking up there, and I was like, oh my God, this is really hard. So I definitely gained a lot of new perspectives, a new respect to bodybuilding and the athletes and the work they put into it, because like the gym is the fun part, like dialing in and getting so, I guess, meticulous and calculated to get that final, that final week of prep, dude. If you know what you're doing, you could tell, and if you don't, you could tell. But thank God I just had an amazing coach that was able to help, walk me through it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not even just the working out, it's the nutrition, it's counting all of your calories, your macros, like all of that stuff too. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and it takes a lot of discipline, for sure.
Oh, and I mean, like, my thing this whole time, I've never called myself a bodybuilder, because I'm kind of like more of a body rebuilder. Like, I learned about fitness and anatomy and bodybuilding in hopes and, in an attempt to gain momentum on my therapy journey, I guess would be the word to call it. And, you find the disciplines, you find the food that helps, the training, this, that, and next. And then you become so dedicated that people are like, dude, you're a bodybuilder. I'm like, no, not really. I'm just trying to walk again, but I'm super shredded in the process of this. So it was really cool to be able to see how these men and women are able to perform like off the stage. They're doing their protocols, getting stress levels down. And I'm inside, I'm like a madman. I'm like there's a monkey with clapping its little cymbals, making noise. I'm like, I don't know what the heck's going on. And all these motherfuckers are like, trained professionals with it. I'm like, God, I'm going to get blown out the water. But I went into the show. My only stipulation was I wanted to be able to stand. I refused to sit. I was like, dude, if my legs aren't working good, I'm going to just not go up. And whenever, I had to face the music and like my legs were acting wonky, they had an Olympian judge there, judging the show. And they're like, hey man, the judges want to know if you can get in your chair so they could actually see your posing routine. Bro, my little heart shattered. I was like, man, I do not want to freaking get out of this walker, because I'm standing, I feel good. But I sat back and thought about it. I was like, I could either go have a temper tantrum and storm off stage and be that guy, or I could just, chin up, chest out. I didn't make it this far to just make it this far, and I'd at least go on to, final night stage. And they ended up giving me 2 trophies. I came in 5th in men's physique and the open. So that was pretty cool.
I think it's really cool. Like, you weren't like trying to become a bodybuilder. You just found bodybuilding as a tool to help you hit your bigger goals, which is to be able to walk again. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, just the journey that you've been on. Was that your first bodybuilding show you've ever done?
Oh yeah, that was like only the second bodybuilding show I'd ever been to in person. The last one was last December. They had the Olympia in Vegas, and I was there with a bunch of content creators just partying and getting content. So I didn't really pay much mind to the actual show part of it. So I didn't learn about opposing routine or any of that until 4 weeks prior. Thank God, because literally my plan was, I was just going to roll out, give them the same poses I do when I get out of the bathroom, a couple little double eye, a little something, and then I'd be good. I'd roll off. But no, my coach was like, dude, no, you're going to go up there for like 30 seconds and have a routine. And I'm like, what do you mean? So thankfully he was able to walk me through that shit. If it wasn't for him, I would have gone out there pasty white, because the whole week leading up, I'm laying out by the pool, tanning. I'm like, coach, I'm I'm good, bro. He's like, no, I'm not letting you get on stage without a spray tan. Thank God he didn't, because look, everybody standing next to me was like this shade, and I'm like pasty ghost
Yeah.
white. It would have looked rough. So at least the spray tan added some definition.
So when you got on stage, you had was that the griot, the walker that you had on stage
Yeah.
with you?
Yes.
Nice. So what's the difference between that and like a regular walker? I'm not super familiar with like how that works.
So with the griot, what it's designed to do is like there's braces that wrap around, your thoracic, which is, your chest level, and then one around your, midline, waist, and then there's also a little strap to where it holds your body weight. So in theory, when using it correctly, I guess, you're able to be able to walk farther, and as your legs are getting more and more tired, you could turn up the resistance, and the griot picks up your body weight to offset the load, to where you could start doing
Oh
more
wow.
endurance intensive training. For me, I'm waiting on some new braces because the braces are too large, so they don't even touch like my upper body all that much. So I
Right.
use it kind of like the grandma walker, but being that it has the that like harness underneath me, I don't know if it's the mental thing or what, but I'm able to walk a lot longer. I guess because my body knows like, even if a leg falls out, we're still, you're only gonna fall a few inches before you're just sitting on the little harness. So thankfully, with thanks to Innovation in Motion, they actually donated me that griot. I'd
Oh
been making
really?
my videos and making posts about it, and I think I sold like 4 or 5 of them. Just people asking. I tell them about it and send the contact. And the representative that brought me it, she called me. She was like, "Sam, you're selling these things like off the hook." I'm like, "Okay, so like, what do we do about that?" And she's like, we're gonna give you that griot to where you could just use it wherever you want. And that therapy, it's been able to progress like my standing endurance with my cognitivity, so I could walk
Yeah.
longer. But since I'm not like fatiguing my upper body so bad, I'm able to really like save and preserve that energy and use it to mindfully put the muscles where I need them, if that makes sense.
Do you have the griot yet? The one that they're gonna
Oh
give
yeah.
you?
Yeah,
Or
it's
you
at the
already got
therapy
it?
center.
Where'd you get it? Oh, at the
Well, I
therapy.
mean,
Okay.
I was about to say it's the same one I've been using, but they just signed over the paperwork like towards technically mine and not just a loaner type thing.
Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they're
Well,
like 20
that's
grand,
really
and
cool.
my
Wow.
insurance saw that price tag and they were like, nope, no walker for you.
Yeah, that's the tough part is that a lot of the stuff that you need is not covered under, regular insurance. Um, so yeah, that's gotta be, you gotta get creative,
Or
I guess.
yeah, you definitely have to start working outside the box. And thankfully, like this past week, I went over to Adaptive Training Foundation out in Dallas, Texas area, and man, like they really they filled my cup, if that makes sense. Like it inspired me that my dreams weren't so crazy. Like I met a quadriplegic man that could walk, run, do box jumps. You can still tell he's paralyzed. He still have spasms and such. Every now and then, like I do. But I'm like, wow, holy shit, I'm not crazy because this guy was paralyzed. Now he's not. I mean, so that was super refreshing. So I know I'm not that crazy. And the owner, David, he's freaking awesome. He made this facility to be able to provide an elite level of training to adaptive athletes. Because I mean, man, in the adaptive athlete world, it's really hard because the sports aren't as well known as normal as normal sports. So the sponsors aren't there as much. It's a lot more money.
So the guy, the quadriplegic, how long did it take him from when he became, or was he like, I guess when was he paralyzed and then when did he actually be able to get to the point where he could walk again?
So, man, and this is the crappy thing about spinal cord injuries because they're so hit or miss. Like, he broke his neck, high sea level, I forget what it was, maybe diving into something, but he snapped his neck. He showed me a picture, it was gruesome. But by the end of, I think it was like a 4 or 5 week stay, something like that, he was able to stand up as he's leaving the hospital. He got into the parking lot and stood up on a little walker because the nurses wouldn't let him do it in the building. So it's like with the variations of our nervous systems and how they can get impacted, I guess it kind of, plays a big part to where, hey, either you're going to shake back really quick or maybe you're not going to get anything back, depending on the severity on the actual nervous system. So for him, I think it was a lot of like the luck of the draw, but he's still been putting in work for 3 or 4 years to be able to maximize on that, because he showed me the video. His first day standing, it kind of looks like me standing, really shaky and your muscles are spastic. But for him to be able to fine tune that and rework it to where, dude, when we picked this guy up from the airport, he had a pimp cane. And I'm like, who's this Joe Blow in the front seat with a pimp cane? I'm in a wheelchair. You didn't see the wheelchair? And he introduced himself. I'm like, oh, that's the other paralyzed guy. Where's your wheelchair? And he's like, oh, I got my cane. I'm like, it's like a fight to the freaking Crips over here, bruh. Had to show him what's up. But no, he was super cool. So made a really good friend. Typically with spinal cord injuries, how the doctors worded it to me, if I remember correctly, is if you don't see significant recovery or return within 6 months to a year, you're typically going to live the rest of your life out in a wheelchair. So for him, well into that 6-month range, he was seeing pretty crazy results. So of course that would keep him motivated, make him want to, work harder and work smarter towards it. It's so unfortunate for me and the majority of the people that I talk to, at least, that we don't see that recovery return within that 6-month span. So it's like after that, insurance is like, okay, they'll pay enough therapy for you to get sufficient in the wheelchair and live be sustainable for your everyday life. But it's like for me and countless others, it's like this isn't where we're drawing the line. Like that isn't acceptable. It's like I've lived the best quarter of my life. My 24 years on the world, it's been the best of it has been in the wheelchair, but I'm trying to work my way out of it. There's so much pain and extra problems that come with paralysis, using the wheelchair and the accessories, and just so much of a headache, I'll call it, to say it politely. So it's like, where do those people that want to continue fighting but don't have the resources, where do they do? Not everyone's as lucky as me to have, a community around them that sees the hard work and is willing to help. I mean, I'm sure other people are out there working just as hard, if not harder, but they're either just not getting seen or just not around the people. But yeah, going out to ATF really inspired me because I want to be able to build myself and my company into that, the ability to help the underdog, if that makes sense. Like, your insurance and your doctors wrote you off and just said have a fun life in a wheelchair. Well, look, you can have a fun life in a wheelchair, but if you want to try to get out of it, here's some tools I found that helped, and here's some some therapists that might help or whatever. Because I think just knowing that you have that toolbox of resources, the inspiration and hope that fires, you can't replace that.
So ATF, is that the place that you just went to that you're talking about?
Yeah, Adaptive Training Foundation. It's like right outside of Dallas, I think Carlton, Texas.
Dallas, that's right. I saw you were out of town for a little while. Okay, so that is basically, I guess, a foundation for people who have been like a spinal cord injury or that just have like some sort of physical limitation.
So I guess to sum up ATF, it was created by the founder, David. He's an ex-NFL player, played for the Ravens, I believe. And basically he was doing a lot of training and helping train people in his community. And he came across a disabled veteran. And this guy was, I want to say an amputee maybe. But David had saw this guy's work ethic and like his hunger and his want. So he stuck to him, and they started working a lot together. And David was like, man, I want to be able to build a foundation or a facility to provide people with either limb loss or disabilities or spinal cord injuries, whatever it may be. He wanted to provide us with an elite training experience. So when I say elite, I mean they had our food covered, our training covered. Everything was very scheduled, time oriented. We did breath work, mentality work, and then we would do exercises throughout the day. As well as, dude, on our rest day, we did the cold plunge, steam room, acupuncture, chiropractor, all in the same facility. Like, it's kind of something I've always kind of dreamt about and been like, oh, no one would ever, just give someone that for free, but actually that's what they're doing at ATF. But they do require one thing to even try to go out there. Is you got to come with work ethic. You got to come with heart. Because like day one, I got off the plane, we got there, I'm thinking it's gonna be a pretty chill day. You know, we're gonna meet everybody and whatever. No, we did a meet and greet for like 20 minutes, and then they're like, all right, everybody, we had to get in the gym and do some mobility testing, see what we can and can't do. And instantly, these dudes wanted me to get out of my wheelchair, like, all right, sit on this box, or we're gonna do balance stuff. And I'm like, nah, dude, I don't sit on boxes, like, I can't. And they're like, no, you're gonna sit on this box. And I'm like, but and whenever you look around in a room full of everyone else with either worse disabilities or just worse obstacles that they're having to overcome, and they're grinding to overcome them. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be the wuss out of this freaking litter. So I just kind of bit my tongue and kept working. But through the we were only out there for a week. So through the process of them learning and seeing, like, okay, maybe he's not just being a wimp. His body just doesn't know how to do that. They were able to adapt and change my workout routine a little bit from the other athletes, because the only other paralyzed guy was my buddy Alex. That's the quadriplegic. But he's freaking running with the big dogs. So I don't even think they put him in his own category. But it was a lot of amputees, you know, above and below the knee. Jenny was there. She was born with like a limb disability, I guess you'd call it. But none of these people, like, looking around this room, I didn't see one disabled person, because they are in there working 10 times harder than the normal Joe Blows I know of, you know, from here to Timbuktu.
Right. Yeah, it honestly amazes me, because I see people like you, and then I see that there's plenty of other people like you that are working really hard in the gym, and they have physical limitations. Like, I've seen you post with your friend on there, and I think was he at the bodybuilding show with you?
Yeah, my boy Don Michael, dude, that was the coolest shit to get off a stage and see him in the crowd. I was so amped.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I see this, and then it's like, I see, you know, I talk to so many people sometimes where they're like, oh, I don't have time to go to the gym, or like, oh, I'm too tired to go to the gym, or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to be that person that's like rude, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, that's an excuse. Like, it's an excuse. Because I'm like, my boy Sam Primeaux, he's over here freaking doing pull-ups.
Well,
I mean, because how much does your wheelchair weigh?
Maybe like 30 pounds. It's not that heavy. It's more or less like the wow factor, I think, that people are like, what the heck is going on?
They're like, what is this guy doing? That's awesome.
And now, like, I've been able to start adding a little more weight. Like, my buddy opened a gym locally called Apex Training, and dude, they got like big old 35-pound chains. So I'm like, oh, all right,
I saw that.
Tied up in the wheelchair, dude. That shit, that pulled my cord for a second. I was like, oh my god, I thought I was strong. That chain humbled me quick. That's kind of how I felt at ATF. Like, I thought I was like one rib crip. I thought I was the super cripple, to be honest, until I got in a room with all of us, and I was like, oh, we have our own like thing. And I'm the run of the litter now. What even? But it was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it honestly makes me feel lazy. Like, whenever I think about skipping a workout, if I see one of your videos, I'm like, I can't, this is just ridiculous. I can't skip a workout and see this on my timeline. Like, no, I'm going to feel so bad about myself. But it's like, it's good, because I feel like we need that. And it's like, you would think that, you know, people, they see David Goggins, they see, which we've talked about multiple times, they see this, you think that would be enough, but it's like, no, we still need more motivation. So I'm glad you're out there.
I think nowadays people are looking at motivation kind of wrong. So I think motivation is a fuel. Like, sure, it'll definitely, you know, help accelerate whatever progress you're doing, but it's a fuel. It's going to burn out eventually. So whenever the motivation runs dry, then people are like, oh, I don't know what to do. Now I'm back to square one. Like, maybe if you tone it down to a sustainable level and make it like habitual to where you can get more disciplined with it, that's when it really starts opening new doors. Because, like, I don't have to be motivated. I wake up some mornings feeling like crap. I'm tired. I'm, you know, hungry. I'm whatever it is. I got a million reasons to not go to the gym or not go to therapy or not do my work. But I also have a million reasons to go to therapy or the gym or work. So, you know, it's like I always like to look at it like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And for me, it's been pretty apparent that like the more diligently and the more I invest in myself and work on myself, the better things are getting. So it's like I try to just block out the little negative voice, the little tired, hurting, crybaby voice. I'm like, we'll talk to you after the set.
I love that. Yeah, it's true though, because it's like I really, honestly, I think about it, and like most of the time, I'm really not motivated to do anything that I don't want to do. You know, I mean, and I love working out, but like I go through phases where I just like I'm not into it as much. Like I'm always like excited to go in box, and I'm always excited to do that because I get to be around people, and it's like I think that's more what it has to do with. But it's like I know the work needs to be done, and so it's just like I don't think about it like that. I don't think about like needing to be motivated to do it because it's just like it doesn't feel like an option to me. And
Right.
even if there's weeks where I only work out 2 days, it's like, well, at least I did, you know, something. Like there's never going to be a week that goes by where I didn't do anything ever.
Right.
Like unless I'm sick, like, you know, like
Right,
where
like your
I
body's-
can't do anything. But like there's like sometimes your body just like doesn't, you know,
It doesn't
doesn't
jive
need
with
to
it.
be put under stress for
Right,
certain
it's like, we're trying
situations.
to
Like, yeah,
recover.
like if you have the flu, okay, yeah. But for the most part, it's like I try to give myself as little excuses as possible. And even though there's like certain things that I can't really do sometimes because like whether it be like in pain or if there's an injury bothering me, but it's like I'll always try to adapt and like figure out a way around it, which that's something that you've really inspired me too, because you just show that, you know, there's always a way to adapt and kind of challenge yourself a little bit to be creative and figure out ways to do something, even though you don't have the ability to do it obviously the way that you want to. But I mean, I love seeing that because there's days too, like I was saying, where not only do I feel lazy, but there's days where I'm like, oh, I can't do squats because my knee's hurting. And it's like, no, you can. You just can't do like heavy squats, you know? Like you can still squat, like you're good. You just can't go hard and, you know, end up ruining your knee. But it's like, so you have to be smart, but at the same time, it's not smart to not do anything, but it's also like you just have to adapt. And
Well,
it's hard to
definitely.
find ways to adapt sometimes, but that's what's really cool about you going down to Dallas and doing the whole thing with ATF is being around other people, because it's like they've probably figured out ways to do things and you can like bounce ideas off each other.
Well, and that was the coolest part about it, because like you said, like having to adapt and adjust everything, especially with training, it's so weird, especially for a newbie, because at first it's like, I don't know how these muscles are supposed to feel. I don't know how this weight's supposed to move. So I not only have to adapt to figure out how do I lock my body in and make it do correct, but what does it even feel like? What does it look like? With these guys, like ATF has seen a lot of adaptive athletes in wheelchairs or with prosthetics. So they're able to say, okay, well, look, we've worked with so-and-so and we made this adjustment. It was able to, you know, whatever. Like there's a guy, Sean out there, who's like the spinal cord guru. He was able to, like, within an hour of knowing me, he taught me how to turn on, you know, two like really low trap, low core muscles. Because obviously you can't really tell right now, but I've developed scoliosis from being in my wheelchair, which is where a lot of my back pain comes from. So
Oh, really?
with these new exercises to even out my core strength, you know, fix the atrophied muscles, that's been showing really awesome signs with walking. Of course, I've only been back, you know, to therapy a handful of times, but we're already seeing noticeable differences in the cognitive connection with my core, because I like to start my day off with these core exercises that Sean had given me, as well as just kind of like warming up my my equilibrium, you know, get my balance right and everything, because being paralyzed, you also lose your balance and your perception to balance, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's the part I think a lot of people don't think about is not only, like, I think a lot of people think that when you're paralyzed, it's just like, oh, you can't use your legs or you can't, you know, use whatever. But it's also the pain. And I kind of know a little bit. I'm not an expert, obviously. That's why I'm asking you so many questions. But like my uncle is paralyzed on the right side. And so sometimes he would complain about like, pain or whatever. But also, like you said, and also just like the inactivity of, not being able to walk. I mean, that's going to take a huge toll on you no matter what. Even with
Right.
going to the gym all the time, like you're not walking around every day like everybody else is. So it's like when you're in the gym, you're moving, but you're not in the gym all the time. So it's like there's tons of time during the day that your legs are not moving. And it's like that's I think the piece that a lot of people don't think about is the effects from that, and then the pain, and also just like, yeah, like you said, like I didn't even think about that, like developing scoliosis from sitting in a wheelchair, because it's like, yeah, you're sitting down all day every day. So
And like not
it's
being able to
crazy.
feel my core as I once could. Like unless I'm looking at a mirror, I mean now I can identify it. But for the first few years, I'd be sitting all cockeyed, not even knowing because I can't feel the difference. I'm just sitting there chilling with friends, and then now I'm a lot more mindful of it because as I've progressed with my therapy, the feeling hasn't necessarily returned in a normal way. It's kind of like the pain is a lot more intense and consistent, but it differs. Like, after an intense leg day, like that night, next day, my nerve pain is 10 out of 10 much worse than the day before. But I could also feel, I guess, soreness or some sort of feelings to touch and pressure in my core to where I'm knowing, okay, my lower back feels like this, so I need to fix the way I'm sitting or whatever. And yeah, the
Yeah.
hardest part about being paralyzed is like how fast we forget things. Like to stand up, you could stand up right now and you wouldn't think twice about it. But dude, that's like, 20
Right.
different muscles you're having to do in a synchronized chain of response for you to stand up, normally.
Yeah.
So not only do we have to relearn what to even tell our bodies this, but then we have to freaking drill it in, thousands and thousands and thousands of times in order for the neuroplasticity to really take place and, rewire those connections. So that was, I think, the scariest part for me because, like, first 3 years didn't see much besides a lot of pain, and I'm like, why is my pain getting worse, but my movement's not getting better? Like, what's going on?
Right.
But thankfully, I think that's where stem cells kind of helped start connecting that bridge a little bit, and like just being able to understand when it comes to a paralyzed body, not only are you trying to do the movement, you're trying to turn on the movement. What does it feel like? What does it look like? For my quads, whenever I'm firing out my quads, I give myself the mental cue of what it feels like to extend my arm, like my tricep extension, like that feeling, but on my quad to kick out at my knee. And just little random things like that have really started to help get the commands, I guess you call it, a lot more consistent.
Yeah. How often do you work out? Like during the
So
week?
like recently I've been kind of slacking, so like only 4 or 5 times a week, but that's like therapy included. But now my physical therapy,
Slacking.
thankfully, well, that is slack. I mean, dude, I used to be able to do 2 days, 6 days a week, but as my physical therapy is progressing and we're seeing a lot more action and movement below my injury level, I'm starting to put my body under a lot more stress. It's a lot more work. And I'm not one to complain, but my body
Yeah.
doesn't like to get drilled, every freaking day. By day 4 of it, I just wake up, my body's like, nope, you're going to be sick or you're going to chill and take an off day. So I've you have to learn how to listen to your body and how to not ignore it. Because it's like, I would hear that I'm hurting, but I'd be like,
Yep.
who cares? I'm going to just go work out. Don't add insult to injury. I've learned that the hard way.
I have to do the same thing. Yeah, I have to do the same thing. It's hard
It's crazy how,
sometimes
like,
because it's like you want to train. Like it's always when I want to train that I have to like force myself not to. It's always the days that I'm looking
Right.
forward to it, and then I'm just like, I can't.
I can't, coach. I just
I
can't.
hate that.
Well, it challenges me to really like come at this a lot more strategically. Like I was saying previously, before before my recovery journey got this far in the rehab sector, it's like, okay, my legs wouldn't work out. Cool. We're just going to drill the shit out of arms, chest, back, shoulders as much as I can. So I was able to build up a ton of endurance with that. But now it's like, okay, go do a super intense leg workout, then go try to do some triceps or some chest. I mean, I've tried it. I could do it. It's going to look like shit and it's going to be half-assing it. But so I've just been able to really take a step back and like strategically map out, okay, well, if we're going to train like this one day, we're going to rest or, you know, whatever. And I'm slowly starting to figure out how to balance my everyday life, you know, with cooking, relationships, you know, keeping things in order, starting to building my company and not just ignoring it like I've done in the past. You know, just try to get a little bit of everything, you know, disperse the work ethic.
Yeah. Yeah, your work ethic is crazy. I love it. And that's why I like talking to you, because I like to run with people that can hang at my pace. And, you know, not a lot of people can. And that's why every time we talk, you know, we're going to, whether it be a small step, you know, it's like we're leveling up every single time. And I think it's just because, yeah, it's the grind. You have to grind. Like Christmas, I'm going to be working, like for sure. Not like working, but like working on stuff that I need to get done that I've been procrastinating, because it's like, oh, it's a holiday. Here's like, that's how I look at holidays now. I'm like, ooh, it's a day I can catch up on things, or like, that's the day I can try out this new thing that I've been wanting to do. Like, you know, it's of course I'm going to spend time with my family, but as soon as that's done, it's like back to work.
That's kind of how I am. And it's like, it kind of, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like the downfalls of entrepreneurship and being like hungry like we are, and especially with content creating, and you're wanting to level up in your fitness or you're this or that, there's just so many things to do. So it's like anytime my body's quiet, my brain's like, ooh, we could do this or this or this or this. I'm like, calm down.
Yep. I know. It's always just like so many ideas in my head that I want to execute, and I'm like, I can only execute so many ideas at the same time. So I gotta be, I gotta be smart and strategize a little bit. Which that's something that like I've been trying to get better at, is just kind of seeing the long term and not necessarily like needing everything to happen right this second. Like being like, okay, let me just chill for a second. Let me plan out like my next 3 months or my next 6 months or my next year. Like, you know, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to figure this out now. It's like, no, I'm going to be figuring it out. I'm going to be working on it, you know, kind of on the side, but I'm not going to actually like full throttle it until I get XYZ done. So it's like, I have to, man, it's hard. It's so hard. 'Cause it's like when you work for somebody and you have a boss, like they tell you the timeline, they give you the deadlines for everything. So you don't have to figure it out.
Well, see, like one of those old sayings, failing to plan is planning to fail. I've seen that come true time and time again, because like you said, like I have all these awesome ideas and I just want to execute, but there's not enough time or energy or space in the day. But what I've been doing a lot more lately is writing things down and scheduling, like you know, following my calendar. That way, at least every morning I could wake up and see a guideline to what to expect for the day, to at least brace me for, okay, this might happen or this could happen. But yeah, now that I'm starting to look at this more like a plan, because for the longest time I just had a big goal. It's like I want to fully recover, and I didn't break it down. So it's like, well, shit, I'm not really recovered yet. What's going on? You know, it kind of knocks you down. But the more you can break it down and refine it, the more you could check off your list, get that little dopamine rush, and you're feeling more accomplished to do the same task you're already planning on doing. Like I've started to even do it in the mornings. Like, you know, I'll have on my schedule. You wake up, pray, brush my teeth, take my shower, X, Y, and Z. That way, it's just like by noon, bro, I done did 30 things, even though I didn't do shit. You know, it's still like the small wins are stacking up for sure.
Yeah, that's something I need to get back into, is like I have like my to-do list of like what I want to do like this year, what I want to do this month, you know, but I forget to do the daily ones. And like I need to do that, because some of those like big goals, you kind of want to break them apart and be like, okay, each day I'm going to work at the 1%, you know, and then after 100 days, I'll be at 100% and I'll have it done. So it's like, God, prioritizing is so hard, but it's something I need to do definitely more, because it does, like you said, it gives you that little dopamine rush of like, oh, I got something done. I got something done. Not only did I get something done, I got something done that I don't want to do. And then you can do the things you really want to do. Because you're like, all right, it's all out of the way. Now it's time for the fun stuff. So, yeah.
Well, like I was reading a book not too long ago, the habits of 7 highly efficient people, I think. And one of them, he really talks about
Oh, yeah, I know what book you're
being
talking about.
proactive. Yeah, it's like just being able to not be so reactive. Like my entire life, I've just been like a stick of dynamite. You know, something happens to me, I gotta blow up right back. But now I could kind of meticulously
Right.
plan out, like, okay, this is how I'm gonna handle this encounter because of X, Y, and Z down the road. And now that I'm starting to see these really big picture dreams and aspirations for myself and my company, it's like the more critical that planning and attention to detail is making or breaking it for sure. Because you can only wing it for so long, but if you want to be great, you got to actually dial in and do the damn thing, do the work, not just talk about it. Say, oh, I want to make this big rehabilitation fitness center. It's like I've been saying it, didn't ever really do anything with it. I'm bad about not writing, like not breaking down my goals because they seem too intimidating. But as you break them
Oh,
down, you're like, oh
100%.
wow, these little steps aren't shit, you know, once you break it all up. And then, like I said, a few months down the road, you're gonna be like, wow, Sam's already got his company halfway started up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's always, to me, like anytime I look at a big goal that I have, it always scares me, and that's why I procrastinate it. But then when I'm like, let me just see what I need to do first. When I figure out step 1 at least, then I feel like the rest of it is just, it just comes natural. And it helps me kind of break it down too. It's like, if you're procrastinating something, just take the first step. Like when I was like procrastinating starting my podcast, I'm like, all right, let me start like my podcast page. Let me create the cover art for it. You know, like let me figure this part out first. Because I'm like, I don't have to get on the microphone. I don't have to be on camera. I can just, you know, be chilling and get on my little graphic design thing and like, you know, do my thing. So it like made it less intimidating. And then I'm like, okay, after this, you know, then I'm going to make sure my microphone works. I'm going to make sure my audio equipment, I'm going to set everything up and see how it works. And so it's like you have to take those steps. And it's like, it's so intimidating when you look at, you know, big things that you want to do, especially like us. Like I feel like we both have pretty big, pretty freaking big goals, which is why we jive, because if you find other people that have big goals, then you won't feel as crazy and you won't feel like you'll be motivated because you're like, oh yeah, like, and then you see each other hit some goals and you're like, oh, we're doing this. Like we're gonna freaking make it. And it's freaking awesome. And it takes so long. Like you have these big goals and it takes so long. Sometimes it could take 10 years, 20 years to hit a goal. But that's why you got to break it down. And that's why I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, it's harder because it's not just like, oh, I want to be, you know, employee of the month, or, oh, I want to make 6 figures next year, like whatever, like the goals that I had, you know, when I was an employee. But when you're on your own, it's hard because if you, like, nobody's going to be nice to you if you fail. Like, nobody's going to be nice to you when you have, like, when it's just not on the level yet. Like, the market's going to tell you, and, you know, the internet's going to tell you, and they're not nice.
No. Yeah, and Uncle Sam does not care. Like, when tax money comes, when tax time comes around, you got to pay. They don't give a shit how great your year went or not.
No.
But yeah, that is like one of the craziest things about entrepreneurship. And for me, it's like, it's even harder because you don't know what you don't know. You know, like I'm not only having to do
100%.
all the things, you're having to learn about the things and where do I improve and how do I do this better? Because at first I would set just, you know, huge goals like, all right, yeah, we're going to be making $100,000 a year. Okay, we'll start breaking it down. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like let's make 10,000 first and see how that goes.
Exactly. You got to have the baby steps. That way you could actually track and look at the analytics and say, okay, well, look, this is what we're doing that's helping, this is hurting, or whatever. And just all a part of being more methodical. And I think like that's the part of my manhood I'm getting into is like becoming more methodical becoming that organized general, I guess, because I need it. I got so much shit on my plate. I got to organize it somehow because there's no one else to organize it for me.
Oh, I can relate for sure. And yeah, that's why it takes longer to level up when you're doing it on your own, but it's worth it because I see all the time like people have partnerships and they just at some point it gets to the point where their vision's not aligned or they're going in different directions. So it's like I feel like it is better when you do it on your own and then you hire people when you get to that level where the money's good, like, but it takes a long time. It's not going to happen day one. The first year or two minimum, you're going to be struggling as an entrepreneur. Like, you're going to be struggling, and it's, unless you get really, really lucky, which does happen. But that was one thing I've been thinking about a lot is like the importance of building your brand. Because it's like if you already have a brand and then you become an entrepreneur and you have products that you can sell, then it's like it's so much easier to explode your business when you already have a brand, you already have people that want what you have, like want what you're selling. Or even if you're not selling anything, like even podcasting, like if I had a huge social media presence and then I started a podcast, I would already have like a ton of listeners and it would be so much easier. Now right. I did it where I'm building my following while I'm, building my podcast at the same time. So it's like, it takes longer, but it's worth it because once you build the brand, then, if I were to start a business or if I were to, which eventually I probably will, or at least have like, t-shirts, something like merch, like something like that. And, something that I can offer to, not even just people that listen to my content, but just people in general. And it's going to be so much easier that way because the number one resource that you need to be successful in business is attention. That is what you need to honestly be successful. And man, there's a lot of people trying to get it right now.
Well, see, it's like I seen something the other day. I think Alex Hermanzi had said it. Business. If you look through business with this lens, you're much more likely to win. Like, what pain point can I solve? Who am I solving it for? And how do I solve it the best? So for me, it was like accidentally, it's like I'm paralyzed, I'm depressed, I'm stressed, I'm just trying to get better. That started lighting a fire under so many people around me, because they could take inspiration and apply it to their situations. But yeah, if I would have actually known like how vital branding is and learning the content and stuff, I would have done this years ago. But honestly, I don't like being in front of the camera. I like to just live my life and do my, do cool shit. And I'm like, okay, well, if me doing cool shit online or on the camera can turn into people online getting motivated and want to do better, okay, it's worth it. But I mean, because that's something it's hard to get a return on unless you're just, got it made. And because, bro, I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on photo shoots and this and that, and they were great pictures.
Oh yeah,
but they didn't sell shit. And I'm like, guys, I can't keep buying stuff if we're not selling anything to make money. So that just kind of falls back to that meticulous. You got to learn and plan different, and it's a fun game because the game of life is, it's pretty expensive, and you can't run away from the bookie. Like you're gonna pay up one day or another. But that's why I think I like it so much, the adrenaline, rush of it.
Oh, yeah. I've always had this battle with myself of like, should I be an entrepreneur and like, is that like my destiny? Or should I just try to work for somebody else and like not have all the weight on my shoulders and all the responsibility? And it's just that, as hard as it is, what you get in exchange for kind of carrying that burden and having all that responsibility, what you get in exchange is so much better because it's like, yeah, you own it. Like it's yours and you have no cap on your income and you have freedom. And I think freedom is ultimately my biggest motivator in life. Like I'm not as motivated by money, but money is a tool that you can use to get freedom. So it's like, I got to figure out a way to make money and to be able to do things on my time when I want to do them. And entrepreneurship is the best way to do that because you can build a business and you can create your own schedule. You can work on your own hours. and then you can build something that, you know, you can hopefully one day create a nice income for yourself and then build wealth through that and start more businesses. So, all right. So far you've done, did you say 3 rounds of stem cells?
No, so I've done 2 rounds of stem cells from bio. I'm sorry, we're running that back. No, I've done 2 rounds of stem cells from a place called Rejuve Medical in Minnesota. So what they do with that
Okay.
process is they just, extract the stem cells from the bone marrow, fuse it with the white blood cells, put it in near my spinal cord injury where my injury was, and they just send you on your way, wish you luck. But for this next round of stem cells, we're going to turn it up a couple notches.
Nice. So is this the one where you go to Colombia in South America?
Yeah, so I'd be going to BioAccelerator. Long story short, it's a process of 4 rounds of stem cells. So I'd fly out to Colombia 4 times. It's a week stage time. You do physical therapy, hyperbarics, you do the stem cells. They do IVs with supplements and like whatever vitamins or nutrients my body's lacking. They basically can optimize everything I'm already doing and, hopefully give it the best potential because with literally working with sticks and stones, hopes and prayers, and just a lot of grind, I've come a substantial way. So, in my opinion, it's like, hey, if we get with the best team available, with the best resources available, this is going to, speed up the process so I could hopefully see the end of this with a little bit of sanity left over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so have you done this experience in Colombia before? Have you been to this place already?
No, so actually,
Oh, wow.
the Colombia place is a little bit different. So with the place in America, like the process to, I guess the application process you'd call it, it's a little bit easier. You send the information to the coordinator, send your medical records, all this stuff, and they'll tell you, hey, yes or no. With Colombia, I had to do that. I had to mail my records and stuff for my images from the wreck. So I had to go trace back all the x-rays from 6 years ago, send them to their headquarters, I think in Arizona. They sent it all my information and application to the surgeon team in Colombia. And the doctors, we did a call and they were like, man, it looks like you've come a crazy far way with the stem cells from your own body. So think about it, 23-year-old stem cells, or on this next go round, it'll be from they'll get, how do they word it? People can apply, and then once BioAccelerator does their, I guess, vetting process and make sure the mother is a healthy donor, they're able to do C-sections, like the mom gives birth, happy, healthy baby. They'll get the 0-day-old stem cells from the placenta, which are,
Oh, wow.
just got done building the baby, and this is just the extra stuff. So, and the thought process is, one, you're getting 0-day-old brand new stem cells versus 23-year-old stem cells. Two, it's not exposed to any, harm. Like, I mean, over the years, I've, smoked and drank, done whatever. So over time, that, obviously, it interferes with the potency or efficiency of our stem cell production and what our body can make with them. So getting it
Interesting.
from a brand new host, you're getting the top of the top treatment is what it sounds like to me. And just being able to be working with a team, it'd be a lot less scary because now the milestones they come with a cost, like to be able to
Yeah.
start progressing with my walking and getting more efficient, that's a lot more time and effort from me, just energy. So it's like I want to at least use that energy as wisely as possible and hopefully get the best, outcome.
Yeah, definitely. So when would that be? So I guess back up a little bit. In order to be able to go to Colombia to get this treatment, which it sounds like would be pretty helpful and critical for what you're trying to do. So you need to raise money for that, right?
Right.
Just like you kind of did with the other ones.
Yes. So the only, well, not the only, but another big difference with BioAccelerator versus Rejuve Medical was roughly about 10 grand a piece, like per treatment. So, which isn't a bad price at all, but for what you're getting, the BioAccelerator is going to be a lot more worth it, but that's at about a $55,000 price range.
Oh
but
wow.
that covers 4 treatments. The week stay, all the other extra stuff. The only thing it doesn't include is flights. So I'm looking at 60,000. I'm looking at 60,000 to go to BioAccelerator 4 times, or 10,000 every time at in the United States one. So I've got
Okay.
a pretty big sponsor of mine, one of the homies from one of our hometown heroes, I'll call him. Him and his foundation are willing to put up a significant amount of money. So we've already got some headway before I've even made any noise about it. But hopefully I'll be able to do some sort of event or drive or something to fundraise. I hate fundraising because I hate feeling like a bum with my cup out. Like I am working
Yeah.
for it, but it's I can go work out all day long. That doesn't pay my bills. So the stem cell people don't seem to give a shit about it either. So
Yeah.
it's for now. It's kind of one of those things where I have to be a little vulnerable and take a hit to my dignity and raise the funds, go do these treatments to where I can inspire and show others the possible or the potentials that are out there. For these sort of injuries, because with 40 million Americans being disabled or with living
Yeah.
impairments, like I feel like somebody needs to come around and show them, hey, look, there's a little bit of hope. That's all I'll give you is hope.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's pretty much worth it though, even though it is a little bit more. Obviously, it's a lot of money, but and none of that's covered under insurance ever, is it?
Insurance
I don't
won't
think
even hear me
insurance.
out on the wheelchair nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is like a lot of this stuff is not covered under insurance. So, yeah, you've gotta raise the funds yourself if you want to. Man, health is wealth, really. It's like you got to be wealthy to be healthy, and you've got to have money to be able to do a lot of these treatments. Even like, there's even stuff that I would like to do, or just being able to have the freedom to invest into my health would be ideal, which is why I'm more motivated to make money is because I know what money can do for me health wise, and that honestly to me is a bigger motivator because it's like, yeah, if I can really invest in me, then what am I going to be capable of as a result of that? I'm going to be capable of a lot more. So are you basically trying to get sponsors right now and trying to get people to help you get to that point where, or do you have a deadline of when you need to get this done by?
So that's kind of where I'm at limbo with Dustin's manager. Basically, is trying to like allocate and line up a day. Because believe it or not, our town, Youngsville, Louisiana, the mayor gave Dustin his own day. So there's a Dustin Poirier day, like a holiday. So I was wanting to do like a crawfish boil or some big event on that day. Because his manager, he's like, "Oh, dude, we've done events and raised over 100 grand." I'm like, well, fuck, help me out because I can't even plan a birthday. I've never planned none of this. But I have a couple of friends in Bible studies that do like organization planning or whatever, event planning. So like to get it all mapped out is gonna be easy once I get like, okay, we could do this
Oh,
day or
good.
not. Um, but yeah, that would be the big goal is to get like some bigger sponsors. Really big goal would be to get like some medical sponsors, like get another griot or some kind of tools that I could use and post about to kind of help.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, hopefully we can, help you get some more exposure so that you can get sponsors' attention, hit your goal. Cause man, that'd be really cool for you to be able to do that.
That would be a
And
big
it's like,
flex.
yeah, to be able to come up with that money on your own, it's like, yeah, it's almost
It's a
seems
nightmare.
impossible, but
But I mean, I've
you
seen
have to
crazy
sell a
things.
lot of leggings and hoodies, man.
And that's what I was saying the other day. It's like, bro, when I got into clothes, I didn't think about how many fucking t-shirts you got to sell to make 100 grand. I'm like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
so many. Um, but hey,
Yeah.
could be
Yeah,
worse.
so for the audience, I didn't even mention this yet, but so
What is
Sam
it?
has obviously behind him is Inner Animal, that's the logo behind you, but Sam has a clothing company, so he has his own line and it has his logo on it and you can wear it to the gym, help you get motivated and yeah, it's freaking awesome. I'm glad to see you keep adding more items to your line, so it's pretty cool. Did you just add like the leggings and stuff recently in the women's line?
Yeah, so I just recently got a new manufacturer for women's gear. So
We've got leggings. I've got crop top hoodies, the sweatpants, bras, long sleeve crop tops, a bunch of other stuff like that. I've also gotten a couple new men's products like hoodies, sweatpants, just the basics. The biggest hurdle I just had to overcome with all that was I got all these awesome product. Now we could take awesome pictures of it and whatnot. My website was garbage, bro. I took at least 4 weeks. Of course, I didn't sit there, 8 hours a day playing with it because it fried my last two brain cells I had
Yeah.
left. But I finally have it up and running, and it's been up probably the past month, and it's already doing light years better than the previous website did on analytics wise. So
Oh,
yeah,
good.
we on this journey of trying to outwork paralysis, I've started to inspire and motivate a ton of people around me. So I figured, why not give it a name? So my name is Inner Animal, unleashing my inner animal to do the seemingly impossible. It's gotten pretty far. So people, especially locals that see my work ethic and understand it, they feel, like they put on a shirt or one of my products and they're like, man, I just feel stronger. I feel like I can go and attack the day better. So that's the big goal behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's freaking awesome. Well, I hope that, like I said, I hope we can help you get some more exposure, get you to the point where you need to get to get like those big sponsors, like you said. Because I see the work ethic that you put in. It's like, yeah, you're right there. It's like I feel like that all the time too, where it's like I know I'm working so hard and I know it's gonna pay off, but it's just like, man, you're so close, and it just feels like miles away. But hopefully we can get you there. So for those listening or watching, go follow Sam on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Inner Animal. I know you're on pretty much every social media platform. So if you search Inner Animal, you'll probably find him. But what's your Instagram, and then what's your website so people can make sure people will find you?
So my Instagram is Inner Animals, and the website is. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. So my Instagram is Inner Animal Sam, and then my website is inneranimals.com. Just
Perfect.
inneranimal.com. Um, but yeah, y'all definitely let me know what you think of the gear. It's animal tried, tested, and proved. I beat the shit out of these clothes, and they can still stand the day. So I definitely think they've got my approval.
That's awesome. And I wanted to close with kind of just asking you some random stuff, cuz I feel like we talk about motivation, we talk about like your clothing line, we talk about all this stuff, and that obviously I want to be like the main focus, but then it's like, who's Sam? Like I want to know a little bit more about Sam. Like so first of all, do you have Spotify?
No, I
Do
don't.
you use Spotify? Oh, never mind. I
No,
was
I
going to
mean I
ask if
use
you're
Apple
Spotify
Music.
wrapped.
I'm about to say I can't. Do you need me to get on Spotify? What is that? Where you do the pods on?
No, well, I do have mine on Spotify, but the uh the Spotify rap. So every year like this time of year, Spotify will send you a list of like your top 100 songs and like your top 10 artists and like basically a summary of like the whole year of what you've listened to. It's really interesting. I always like to see other people if they use Spotify. I'm like, show me your Spotify Wrapped. Let me see who you are.
Who really are you behind the
Because
screen?
it's so interesting, like what I think people listen to and then what they actually listen to. But what kind of music do you like? What do you jam
Dude,
to? Especially
I
when you
could
work
listen.
out.
I could listen to Lil Wayne, to Beethoven, to Ray Charles, to like George Strait. My playlist is all over the place because I'm a very dynamic person for sure. So my
I
taste and
know.
everything is pretty dynamic.
Yeah. I That's kind of what I expected. But I was curious if you were just like, oh, this is my jam. This is my.
Oh no, there's a few theme songs for sure, but if I could put on a song and it like gives you that feeling, just like turns you up a few levels, then yeah, that's a
Yeah.
keeper to me.
Yeah. Well, another thing I wanted to ask you, you've hung out with Dustin Poirier several times now, and you watch MMA, and I've seen you recently. I can't remember when it was, but I saw you hitting the heavy bag, um, which is awesome. I
Oh dude, I love
mean,
it.
When did you start like kind of training? Because it looked like you knew what you were doing, like
Oh,
from
well,
what
I
I could
mean,
tell.
growing up, I was the youngest brother and youngest cousin, and I always had the loudest mouth, so I had to learn how to fight. And so probably since elementary school, I'd have older cousins that are I'm talking like 5 years older, so they're going to jujitsu classes and all these boxing and stuff. So they just kind of got passed down to me, and you grow up in a few rough neighborhoods and talk a lot of shit, you're gonna learn how to fight. And that's pretty much South Louisiana wrapped up in a nutshell. Just a rough
Yeah.
neighborhood, and us kids like talk shit. So, but I've like actually working with actually one of Dustin Poirier's friends, Tariq. He's taught me a lot of combos and stuff. Because kind of earlier on into my rehab journey, I found that doing boxing and stuff like that is great for my core, great for my conditioning,
Yeah.
and it's not boring and monotonous like other boxing workouts. I mean, like other core workouts. You're throwing combos, you're trying to stay balanced, trying to keep breathing. It's just so much going out on at once that I find I could really like push myself hard enough without injury. So I love doing boxing and combos, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're doing that because, like, for me, same thing. Like, boxing really helps me. Just first of all, it's like a release almost. It's almost like a type of therapy. Just like hitting something for some reason just makes me feel really good. Gets that aggression out. But yeah, I'm so glad that you're doing that. And yeah, like I said, you looked like you knew what you were doing. I mean, you were throwing clean punches, and it's like people don't understand too. Like with boxing, it's really hard if you don't have the use of your hips and your legs
That's where all the
because
drive comes
boxing is a
from.
lot of it. Yes, exactly, exactly. Have you seen? They actually do have. I don't know if you've seen it. They have like wheelchair boxing. Have you seen this?
I've seen, if it's what I think it is, I've seen some like barnyard hillbilly in the middle of the woods type arena where these dudes in wheelchairs are fighting. Yeah. And honestly, I would feel bad. I would hurt someone's grandpa if I got into boxing wheelchairs. I feel like because I got a lot of aggression and anger, and like it's not for them, it's not to them, but they would get it for sure. It's like if you piss me off enough to start swinging on me, dude. Matter of fact, a couple months ago, I punked out a freaking able-bodied dude. Like we were at Twin Peaks, and I'm friends with a couple of the waitresses. So like I'm, shooting the shit, kind of getting a little rowdy. And this dude was sitting in the booth next to me, started getting like real loud, and like started going off on me in Spanish. So I started going back in American. I'm like, oh no, motherfucker, you want to talk? How about you talk in a language I can hear you in? And so he was like, you want to do something? I was like, we can go right here. What's up? So he stood up from his table. So I pushed back, from my table. And I'm in a wheelchair. And as soon as he saw the wheelchair, he sat back down. And I was like, you scared to get beat up by a guy in a wheelchair, huh? What? Like the whole restaurant's like looking at us like, what?
Oh my
I still
god!
got that dog in me, man.
Wow.
They don't know.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I just imagine one day I'm just gonna be like looking at the boxing news and it's just gonna be like Sam Primeaux signs up for his first boxing fight and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's my dude right there.
I would be Mike Tyson in a wheelchair for sure. That would be the equivalency, I think. If I could learn, I got the passion for it. I would just need a lot of the skills.
Yeah, yeah, that's something. I mean, you've done bodybuilding now. If you start training,
Cage
that'd be
fighting.
pretty cool.
Like I'm gonna be a
Wheelchair
paralyzed
cage
cage
fighting,
fighter.
that'd be crazy.
No, with my luck,
That
I'd be
would be
getting broken
crazy.
legs, and no, no, it'd be scary. But now, like once my feeling returned, that would be, I think, I would switch more to from bodybuilding to martial arts, just because I like that
Yeah,
type of training, and it's really useful. But bodybuilding is awesome, but like I don't aspire to be 280 pounds, big jacked up dude.
yeah,
So after a certain point, there's
exactly.
gonna be like a maintain and just have fun type of thing.
For sure. Well, I'm gonna watch out for you one day if you're gonna. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. I'd be like, "Yep, there he is doing his thing."
He said he would
That'd
do
be
it.
pretty
He
cool.
said he would do it.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I feel like you're the type of person where you're just like, "Oh, I could probably do that," and then you just figure out how to do it.
Oh yeah, I'm very stubborn. So like, even when things don't work out how I want them to, it pisses me off. So I try 10 times harder until it gets figured out. That's been my
That's a good way to
superpower.
be. 100%. Yeah, it's a
very
blessing and a
needed.
curse.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, we're what they call difficult, but I'm like, you know what? Difficult people get things done. Okay,
That's what I'm saying. Difficult is
so
what changes the world. So
100%, 100%. Well, it's been great chatting with you. I'm so excited to see all your progress, everything that you've done. I mean, bodybuilding show. You're trying to get another stem cell, going a trip to South America, which that'd be freaking crazy
it's
if
gonna be
you
lit.
were able to do that. That would be crazy. I'm so excited to see where you end up next time I talk to you. I feel like like I said, every single time, I feel like we're getting better.
We
We're
got you.
making it to the next level, and then yeah, the future's looking bright. So I'm excited.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm excited. Awesome. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on, and I appreciate your time as always. Thank you for hanging with me, figuring out the technical difficulties, basically being my guinea pig for my new software. So
hey, likewise, you taught me how to hook
appreciate
up
you.
my camera to the Mac, so it's a win-win.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, now you can do, man. Yeah, you could really create
get
some cool
bougie.
content now.
But I say now I can get
Yeah.
fancy now that I know how to use these things, these tools.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Well, and you helped me figure out TikTok because I didn't know what I was doing on TikTok, and you helped me figure that out. And I got a video that got like 100,000 views after you.
Check
helped
them
me.
out. Yeah, I'm still waning on TikTok and YouTube, but it's starting to
It's
stick.
so hard. I saw Gary Vee today. He was talking about how basically TikTok is like it can only have so many more people on it. So it's like it's basically whoever's on it is on it now.
Right.
And it's not going to grow anymore. So the views are going to be harder to get than they were like even a few months ago. So I'm like, oh, great. And Gary Vee's usually right. That's the frustrating thing about him is like sometimes he says things I'm like, he's crazy. And then he's right. And then I'm like, dang it.
I should have listened to this old guy.
Like I should have listened to him about TikTok a long time ago because I was like, TikTok. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, TikTok's stupid. Just dances.
I should have. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. And then I was like, oh, there's people literally putting their whole podcast on here. Okay. Maybe I should have done that. But
and I mean, hey,
anyways.
they just pushed out like the 10-minute long video, so mess around and just throw a 10-minute video up. It'll either flop or pop, you know?
Exactly. I know I've been meaning to utilize that because I haven't really done much with it. I've done like some 3-minute videos. And they had it on Instagram for a little while. They had the 10-minute videos, and now it's gone. So I don't know why
They're
they
trying
got
to
rid
compete
of
with
it.
YouTube.
Or maybe they were just testing it, I bet. And now they're probably going to go back and be like, oh, or whatever they do. I don't even know, to be honest. I don't know. These social media, it could just be a robot doing all this stuff for all we know. So it's like, I don't even know.
Bunch of random programs.
Yeah. Everything's AI now. I don't even know. Half the stuff I see, I'm like, is this real or is this AI? I don't know.
Right? So they're making
know.
cartoons look so freaking realistic nowadays.
It's crazy. All right. Well, we'll wrap up here. I appreciate your time again. And I'm sure I'll have you back on soon. Hopefully one day we can do one of these in person. That'd be freaking dope. So
Heck yeah, me, you, and Joe Rogan. Let's claim it.
all right, Sam. Well, you have a great night. I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you soon.